Clemson Hotline is on the air, a one-hour talk show giving Clemson fans a power hour of Tiger sports talk. Clemson Hotline is presented by y'all.com and brought to you by Amtrak. Clemson Hotline is direct from Tiger Country on a network of radio stations across the great state of South Carolina. And as always, a podcast edition of our show is available for download in iTunes. Hello, everyone. I'm Lawton Swan. Welcome back into the program. The Clemson Tigers with a big victory over Virginia Tech, playing very well right now at home. The road, maybe not so much. A tough loss earlier this week against Florida State on the road, a last-second buzzer beater that drove a dagger in the hearts of Tiger Nation. But on this program this evening, of course, Sunday nights at 9 o'clock, we've got a treat for you. That's right. Miss South Carolina, Allie Rogers, will join us in just a few minutes. I know that you all are excited about that, so stay with us for that. We're going to talk about the Clemson Tigers recruiting, the new indoor practice facility, everything under the sun in Tigertown, all that and a whole lot more. And I'll tell you this, I put that on Twitter earlier about Allie. This beauty is a beast when it comes to sports, so you're going to enjoy her being here with us. And maybe you might learn a little bit about pageantry or pageants. I'm not even sure how you pronounce it, but we're going to have her with us. Stick around. In about 15 minutes, she'll be here. Right here on the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's brown bag lunches every day.
It's picking up extra shifts.
And it's catching the bus to work.
You work hard to earn your money, and we want to help you stretch every dollar. That's why TurboTax lets you file your simple federal return for free. It's free to prepare, print, e-file, and you can even chat with a tax expert. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Get the federal free edition at TurboTax.com. Live tax help service is subject to availability, restrictions, and change without notice. See TurboTax.com for details.
G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services through football season. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
Hey, honey.
Hi, Dad.
What you drawing?
It's our house. That's you.
Oh.
Me.
Huh?
Mom and Josh.
Wow.
Playing ball.
You are becoming quite the artist.
When you're a kid, you don't know that home ownership builds communities, that owning a home contributes to higher self-esteem and better test scores. You just know that home is where you play, grow, and learn. The National Association of Realtors wants you to know that home ownership matters to our families, our neighborhoods, and our country. Learn more at houselogic.com/homeownership.
Are you a landowner who owns more than 10 acres that's interested in selling timber or pulpwood off your property? Cross Creek Timber is a full-service timber procurement company that buys standing saw timber and pulpwood. They're staffed with professional licensed foresters and fully insured with both workers' comp and general liability insurance. Let Cross Creek Timber develop the appropriate harvesting plan for your property and answer any questions regarding forest management. Call today, 864-517-3620. That's 864-517-3620 for your free woodland evaluation, or visit www.crosscreektimber.com.
It was the moment I realized I was about to lose my job.
I found myself searching for pills instead of just being with my family.
At that moment, I finally decided to get help for my addiction to opioids.
The prescription painkillers.
At turntohelpnow.com, you'll learn that opioid dependence is a real medical condition and that there are different ways to get help, including those in a private setting, without the need for daily visits.
That moment led me to turntohelpnow.com.
Make now your moment. Visit turntohelpnow.com today.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
They're playing basketball.
basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball.
Welcome back into the Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swan. Glad to be here with you once again. Of course, Allie Rogers coming up. She'll be our guest in just a few minutes from now, so stick around for that interview. And also, I want to tell you, this Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, ESPN's recruiting guru and their national director of recruiting, Tom Luganbill, will be with us on TigerNet Talk, so you'll want to get here for that one as well. 9 o'clock, you can watch it on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Just go there, click the live button, come on in, tweet to us throughout the week, hashtag TNTalk. All one word with that hashtag symbol in there. It'll come right to us. If you've got questions for Allie, you can do that. If you're in the chat room, feel free to put it in the screen queue. I know we have a bunch of people that join us live on Spreecast, but that's also on our website. We've done some revamping of the site. We've streamlined it. We've made it better for you. I think it's a much better site than it was a week and a half ago. I know for a fact you're going to enjoy it that much more when you stop by there. Big victory for Brad Brownell and the Clemson Tigers on Sunday, a victory over Virginia Tech, 77-70. And I don't know if you can count this game as a game where a legacy game maybe, or a coaching tree game for Coach Brownell. I think when you look at the tenure that Virginia Tech's head coach Rick Ray had at Clemson, it wasn't a very long one. So I don't think that really counts as a coaching tree game, but maybe it does. The Brad Brownell coaching tree spreading throughout the Atlantic Coast Conference already with Rick Ray there. He obviously, those two, Brownell felt like he was a good hire coming from Virginia Tech, but then with the opening coming there with Greenberg being fired, Rick Ray went back. But for the Clemson Tigers, it was a great night. They start out early. They jump on Virginia Tech, and they don't let them get back in the game. Although it was tied at the half and Virginia Tech had a slight lead a little bit into the second half, it just seemed like even with Devin Booker a bit under the weather, that this Clemson team was going to will their way. They were going to find a way to get a victory in this ballgame. It was disappointing, I think, to some degree that you let Virginia Tech back in it, because I think there are a number of players on this team that lack confidence, and I think that's going to be key going forward for this team. When you talk about the youth and inexperience of this ball club, confidence is so key. And having your heart ripped out the way it went down in Tallahassee, it was a tough bounce-back game, I think, for Clemson, but they did manage to overcome. They did manage to get through it. There's one kid, though, on this team who has supreme confidence, and that's KJ McDaniels. I even called him on Twitter KJ McConfident, because that's exactly what he is right now. His three-point shooting is coming together. And he's a kid, I think, if you look down the road and you think about this team and what you hope they could become this season, he's got to be a guy that you feel like if he could get his outside game feeling well and getting even more confident with that three-point shot, that he's a guy who can play inside and out. He doesn't have the best technique from the outside, but the confidence is high. He's not afraid to pull it. That makes the defenses extend. That opens up lanes for others, and it really begins to make Clemson that much more of a difficult ball club. You've already got Milton Jennings, who played the best game of his career in this ballgame, scoring 28 points. He was 16 of 18 from the free throw line. You got to go back to like 1969 to find another Clemson Tiger player who shot that many free throws at that high of a percentage. I mean, the kid that we've often criticized here on the program has played good in recent games, not well on the road, but at home he plays very good basketball. 14 rebounds in this game as well for Milton Jennings. He said after the game he had to step up because of Devin Booker being sick. Booker only gave you 3 points in this ball game. But all in all, those two guys, Jennings and also McDaniels, their ability to maybe stretch defenses and their size is key. And I got to say one thing to Mr. McConfident. Please be careful on your follow-up dunks doing chin-ups. The Atlantic Coast Conference is not a big fan of the Clemson Tigers, especially in the basketball arena. And Jamie Luckey, in fact, gave a technical foul to the Clemson bench in this game, which, if you credit it to Brad Brownell, is his first career technical foul ever. Now, that's a first for me, because it would take me about a week in the Atlantic Coast Conference to get a technical foul called playing basketball in this league. Some of the calls I've seen in my days go against Clemson. I can't believe Brownell's made it this long in the conference without getting one, and I don't know if this one technically is attributed to him. But if it's not, I think it's time you step up and get one, Coach Brownell. We're tired of seeing some of the calls and some of the blatant disrespect for our Clemson basketball team by referees. Look, I've been through the Rick Hartzell era, the Tim Higgins era. Oh, don't even make me think about Carl Hess, Duke Edsel, those referees that so often find a way to slightly favor maybe the boys from Tobacco Lane. Jamie Lucky, the one who did tee up the bench, another one who we've all had issues with in the past, I'm sure. But all in all, for Clemson, a great win at home. They did a nice job of limiting Eric Green. He, of course, came into the game as America's leading scorer, and Clemson's defense has continued to be very phenomenal under Coach Brad Brownell. One thing I'll say, you didn't get to see it displayed in this game as much, but I told you a week ago, the things that you got to like about Brownell, about his coaching, the timeouts, you saw that at Florida State. The great inbound plays, you saw that at Florida State. Still missing some key pieces, some guys who can really score and put up points. If those things come to fruition, if down the road we can find some guys who can score, and you know there's some people missing due to injury. We've talked about that here on the program in the past. We know that exists with Coleman and Blossomgame not being a part of this team right now. You are limited a bit offensively. Again, you continue to see a guy like Jordan Roper, though, not be afraid to shoot the ball. He goes 2 of 5, 1 for 3 from downtown. If he gets a hot hand, you mix that in with a hot KJ McDaniel. It's not an awful basketball team, but it's going to be awfully tough for them to win in this league. This is an absolutely tough conference to get through. It will not get any easier adding Louisville. It will not get any easier adding Syracuse and Pittsburgh. But right now, if you look at this league and the coaching and where Brad Brownell ranks, I really like where we sit. I think things are headed in the right direction, but it's going to be a longer ride than many people want to go on. But you want to stick around for this ride, because coming up right after this message break will be none other than Miss South Carolina herself, Allie Rogers. Stay with us.
Low country.
All right, thanks everybody. If you're familiar with the show, if you come here on Sunday nights, you know that this is the quiet break where there is actually no commercial. This is a commercial that the radio stations will run. So I'll get everything set up. I'll dial up Miss South Carolina, and then we'll roll on. So stay with us.
Remember all the stories growing up as a kid about refrigerator Perry and just how hard he hit. And my mama told me homecoming games are the best on the banks of those late fall, late Cartwheel sunsets. I wanted to be just like Jeff Davis.
Welcome back into the Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swan, and we're joined now by Miss South Carolina, Allie Rogers. And if you want to write to her during the program, the easiest way to do that is hashtag TN Talk, all one word. I know that she'll want to hear from all you Clemson fans out there, and maybe some of you other South Carolina residents who may be tuning into the program. And Allie, great to have you with us here on the Clemson Hotline. I hope you're doing well and looking forward to talking with you about pageants and your passion for football and all that.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be with you.
Now, look, I'm no pageant veteran, okay, but I got to tell you, my top 5 in the Miss America pageant was correct.
Really?
Yeah, I had the top 5 laid out.
Wait, does that mean you chose who the top 5 would be, or from the top 5 you picked me not to win?
No. Listen. We'll get into that momentarily. Trust me. No, when they went to 15 or however many it was, I turned to my wife and I said, "Look, here's the top 5," and I nailed it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It's a gift. I think it's a gift.
I can see that.
Now, speaking of you not winning, I got to tell you, I almost fell on the floor. I mean, how did you feel? Were you surprised?
Well, I prepared for 6 months for Miss America, and I didn't grow up a pageant girl. I grew up playing sports, and so Miss America was not something that had been this long childhood dream of mine. And so it was really surreal for me to even be competing for Miss America. So, to make top 15 was awesome enough for me. And when we finally got on stage for the announcement of the winner, it finally hit me like, holy cow, this is real. And Miss America is not an easy job. And you can probably tell from the pictures and from the competition, I was genuinely excited when Mallory won. Not that I didn't want to win, but there are so many opportunities to come from being first runner-up and getting to come back home to South Carolina.
Now, as a Clemson fan, I think when Florida State banked in that 3 to win the game just a couple of days ago, our hearts kind of hurt. What was going through your mind when you realized it was kind of like that banked in 3 that you didn't win when it was down to the final 2?
Well, I mean, it was the most bizarre moment to even, to be standing there on the Miss America stage. This is this huge American icon that every little girl looks up to, and it was so surreal to even be there in the first place was pretty cool, and I couldn't have picked a better girl to become Miss America and to represent our class. And Mallory is doing an awesome job as Miss America 2013.
Now, as far as talent goes, they show what you all did, and I've got the clip of you playing the piano, which was fantastic. We're going to play that when we come back. I hope you can stay with us through the break. But
oh, yeah.
As far as talent goes, does everyone perform before the big show? I mean, have the judges seen your talent before?
Yes. So basically, there are 3 preliminary nights. And on top of that, we have a 10-minute interview that is with the judges and no one else. So it's a private interview before the competition starts. And then the 3 preliminary nights were Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so I had swimsuit and evening gown the first night, and then talent, and then on-stage question. And there are 3 groups, and we rotate throughout the competition. And so we have already been scored, and that's how the top 15 is determined from our preliminary scoring.
Gotcha. You're listening to Allie Rogers. She's Miss South Carolina. She came in second place, or what do they call it? First runner-up? Is that the word? Is that in the Miss America?
I guess that sounds a little better, huh?
It does sound better. You know, that old saying that what is it? Second place is the first loser just doesn't feel good when you talk about the Miss America pageant. I mean, That's right. You did a fantastic job. I talked about my prowess in judging the pageant because I'm obviously fantastic at it. But American Idol has also made me keen on singing. Now, 10 years ago, I don't think most of America could have judged or recognized maybe average singing. Unfortunately, I was watching the pageant, and I got to say, some of the singing I heard didn't exactly stack up.
Well, that's what comes along with it not being a 100% talent performance show. And they, the girls maybe that you're thinking about that you didn't think were that great of singers, they had an awesome interview, and they had, an awesome stage presence and swimsuit and evening gown. You just never know what you're going to get. And so Miss America is not always the best talent or the best swimsuit body, but the best all around in every phase.
Now, because you were the first runner-up, if something happens to Miss America and she's kicked out of office or whatever, you assume that role, what things would she have to do for you to dethrone her?
Oh, I don't know. And I can't recall. I don't know my pageant history enough to recall if this has ever happened before. And I definitely don't think it's going to happen, but I don't know what would have to happen for that to take place. I mean, maybe some inappropriate pictures or something she shouldn't have said. I don't know, but I definitely don't anticipate that ever happening.
Can she get married?
Can she get married?
Yeah, I mean, she's Miss America, right? Does this mean she goes to Miss Universe? I mean, if she gets married, she's no longer MISS. That would disqualify her in my mind.
Right. You can't get married until after. You can be engaged, but you can't be married. So that would be a no-no.
I did not realize that. So similarly to Georgia Tech having to forfeit the 2009 Atlantic Coast Conference Championship in some ways.
There you go.
There you go.
See, that's all Miss America is. It's one big football championship.
So should Clemson get to claim that title?
Well, obviously. I mean, if I was a Georgia Tech fan, I wouldn't say so. But I mean, it's all the same. Sports, pageants, and of course, I definitely think they should. But who knows?
Competition. Well, Allie, stick around. We're going to head out to a quick commercial break, and we're going to talk with you about not only a little bit more about pageants, but we're going to get into some of your passion for college sports. Stay with us, Tiger fans.
I thought I'd grow up and I'd settle down. There was 10,000 girls up in Tiger Town, and it was heaven to me. I used to sneak downtown with my fake ID and watch Doug McCormick rock TDs on a Friday night.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
Are you a landowner who owns more than 10 acres that's interested in selling timber or pulpwood off your property? Cross Creek Timber is a full-service timber procurement company that buys standing saw timber and pulpwood. They're staffed with professional licensed foresters and fully insured with both workers' comp and general liability insurance. Let Cross Creek Timber develop the appropriate harvesting plan for your property and answer any questions regarding forest management. Call today, 864-517-3620. That's 864-517-3620 for your free woodland evaluation, or visit www.crosscreektimber.com.
Stop pain now. Pain keeps you from enjoying life, or worse, keeps you up at night. Stop pain now with Real-Time Pain Relief, the great-smelling topical pain relief cream you can try absolutely free. That's right. Go to painfreeoffer.com and get a free sample with free shipping right now. No credit card needed at painfreeoffer.com. We're so sure it'll work, even if everything else you've tried hasn't. You get a free sample with free shipping, absolutely no cost to you at painfreeoffer.com. painfreeoffer.com.
And my name is Ray Harland. I've been using Real-Time Pain Relief now for about 9 months. Real-Time Pain Relief has been a godsend because this is the only topical that actually touches my pain and reduces it.
This is a truly no-risk offer that can stop your pain. Go to painfreeoffer.com and get a free sample of Real-Time Pain Relief Cream with free shipping. You won't be asked for a credit card. Go to painfreeoffer.com now. Click today and be pain-free. painfreeoffer.com.
G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services through football season. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
Playing the Jackson Fives, I Want You Back on the piano. Here is Allie Rogers, Miss South Carolina.
That's right. That's her, Miss South Carolina, Allie Rogers. Absolutely killing it on the keys. I'm telling you what, I was so impressed, Allie. That's the best rendition of that song I've ever heard played on the piano in my life.
Well, it was a lot of fun. It took all I had in me not to just get up and dance and forget about playing, but it was a lot of fun, and I think the crowd enjoyed it too.
Now you talked about not growing up a pageant girl, but what was it like, or where did your passion for sports develop?
Well, I have an older brother and a bunch of guy cousins, and so I didn't have a choice but to learn how to throw the ball and to play outside and to just rough and tough it with the boys, and that was my childhood. So I grew up, started playing softball when I was 4 and started playing golf when I was 9 and got into a lot of music stuff too. But softball was my passion, and so I never saw myself as a pageant girl. But my plans kind of took a turn, and it turned out to work out all right.
Well, you talk about throwing the football. I saw a video of you. I don't know if it was on YouTube or something you put out. I can't remember. And you were throwing a football, and I'm telling you what, fantastic form.
Well, thank you.
No, I mean, it's great. I mean, really, it was really good.
Well, not that a softball and a football are the same, but I was a third baseman, and so I built up a good bit of strength, and my dad played football through college. My uncle, Phil Rogers, was a Hall of Famer at Clemson, and so it kind of runs in the family.
Well, you talk about playing softball now. Does that mean that by default baseball is your favorite sport?
playing softball, but I went to Lawrence High School, and football was the big sport in Lawrence. So I grew up with a passion for football. I went to my first Clemson football game when I was 4 weeks old, and have hardly missed a home game since.
Now, what do you think about the job when you talk about not missing games and keeping up with Clemson? What do you think of the job Coach Sweeney's done in his short tenure as the head coach?
Oh, I think he's done an awesome job. And I'm lucky to have been an intern in the football office at Clemson my first 2 years there. And so I don't think we could ask for a better coach, a more encouraging, supportive coach, and a more down-to-earth and relatable coach for these guys.
What's your take on the 4-year losing streak to South Carolina?
Well, we go through phases, and I think that's certainly a phase that we're going to come out of sooner or later, and we'll be back on top, just like the majority of the years prior to this one.
Well, hey, that's an excellent point. That's a point that's not brought up enough, I think, by the Carolina folks out there. And speaking of Carolina, being Miss South Carolina, as such a Clemson girl, do you ever want to be called like Miss the State of South Carolina?
Yeah, I have to clarify a lot.
I'm not a Gamecock.
And
okay.
I think a lot of people assume, and I found myself assuming that all of the other Miss States went to school at their whatever state college, and so I think a lot of people associate me with the University of South Carolina, but I am sure to make that clear that I'm not a Gamecock, and that I go to the real school of South Carolina.
Nice. Now, my niece wants to know if you plan to compete in any other major pageants, and how long have you been playing the piano?
I will definitely not be competing in any more pageants. This was my last go at it, and I started playing the piano when I was 5.
Now, TigerNet Recruiting wants to know, do you check out TigerNet at all, and if so, how often?
I do. It's really hard this year. I'm required to take a year off from school to be Miss South Carolina. It's a full-time job, and I travel every day and speak usually at a dozen to 15 events a week, and it's a full-time job for me, so it's hard keeping up like I used to with Clemson football and everything else, and being an intern in the office, I live and breathe it, and so it is a big change from the normal routine as a Clemson student. So I certainly miss it, and I'm ready to be back this fall.
Now, this, of course, is the voice of Allie Rogers, Miss South Carolina. Thank you all for being here on the Clemson Hotline. Clemson Tom, I'm sure you've probably seen his videos. He wants to know, Allie, will you please follow him on Twitter?
Oh, I certainly will. I'm pretty sure I'm already following him. Am I not?
I don't know. He just put it in the chat room. I think he want.
I think he just wanted a shout out.
Yeah,
I'll make sure I'm following him.
He only has 6,000 followers. I mean, he needs some extra ones.
Oh, poor thing.
He says in the chat room, nope, she's not following him. Matthew brings his comedic skills and says, tell my ex-girlfriend that I'm sorry we had to break up. He wasn't ready to commit.
Oh, this is my ex-girlfriend?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he said he wasn't ready to commit.
I've had a lot of friends and a lot of people kind of come out of the woodwork. I never knew him before, but apparently I was supposed to. So Matthew, I'm sorry, and I don't know who you are, but I sure do miss you a lot.
Now David wants to know if he says, please tell me that I didn't pick Miss New York over you. And no, I did not, Allie. I tell you, I stood up. I did. Listen, I got close to the TV one other time in my life. It was 1990 when Tate George knocked down a three-pointer to beat Clemson in the NCAA tournament, and I fell to the floor crying. I didn't fall to the floor crying, but I was shocked. I had you winning it. I had it pegged. It was over. It was absolutely over.
I think you might be kind of partial too, but
that's true. That's true. But look, hey, like I said, I'm a talent. I'm a judge. I know what it takes. If it was strictly a beauty pageant, listen. If it was strictly a beauty pageant, there was no question.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, finally, Lee wants to know. I guess this is a play off of the young lady from over here in Lexington. He wants to know, can you locate the U.S. on a map?
I think I can. Last time I checked, I had a pretty good idea of where it was. And I'll have to go ahead and give a plug for the Miss America organization. That young lady was Miss South Carolina USA team.
Okay.
And so she was a team contestant in the Miss USA team pageant. And we're the Miss America organization. And there is usually a big difference. The main difference is we have talent, and theirs is more predominantly a beauty pageant. But some differences there in what we look for.
So I learned something new. I had no idea.
There you go.
Nick writes in, he's at TPA Nick on Twitter. He wants to know if you are a fan of the purple jerseys and would you like to see them worn at least once a year. So a little fashion question here coming from Nick.
Yeah, I love the purple jerseys, and I'm not a pink and purple kind of girl, but I love to see some purple jerseys in Death Valley. And I think that I remember when they started wearing the purple jerseys, half of us freaked out because it was new and we don't want to change anything of tradition, and half of us were excited because they were so sharp looking. So I think we should bring them back. It's been a while.
I agree. They're a good looking jersey, and I don't mind them with the orange helmet. Doesn't bother me at all. Now another question comes to us from at Taj for Heisman. What are your thoughts on Taj for Heisman in 2013?
I mean, I think he would be a great candidate, and I think he has an incredible shot, and he's really put Clemson on the map in a lot of aspects. And he's a great guy for one thing, and works really hard on and off the field. And knowing Taj personally, you just don't get a better guy than he is. And so I think he takes athleticism far beyond what it's only meant to be.
And it looks like we got one final question from Twitter. It comes from Hipster1008. They want to know, what was the hardest thing you had to do to get ready for your pageant?
Ooh, hardest thing. It would have been balancing everything. On average, I'm on the road about 4 hours a day, and I speak every day and have my job as Miss South Carolina. And then on top of that, I had to prepare for talent and for this swimsuit competition in high heels and a bikini in front of millions of people. And so that, getting time in the gym and finding time to get all of the prep work in along with my job and traveling, it was pretty tough to balance. And so that was definitely the hardest thing to figure out how to do.
Well, Allie, we've just got about a minute or so left before the final break, and I wanted to tell you thank you for coming on the program. I know Clemson fans and South Carolina people all around the state really appreciate the way you represented this state so well, and I do thank you for your time, and I hope that we can get you back on sometime. Hey, the guys in the chat room would tell me you need a co-host, Swanee. We need somebody better looking than you on camera.
I have to agree with them there. I love the co-host.
It's a deal. It's a deal. You guys heard it, and my wife may have heard it as well, though, so I may be in big trouble. Who knows? All right, Allie, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on with us and spending some time talking about the pageants and Clemson sports.
Thanks so much for having me, and go Tigers.
All right, Allie Rogers, Miss South Carolina, Miss America, I think, in all of your hearts. She was fantastic, not only on this show, but in the pageant just a few days ago. Stay with us. Final segment upcoming here on the Clemson Hotline. We'll also have some reaction to what Allie had to say. Stay with us, Tiger fans.
I hope the days come easy and the moments pass slow, and each road leads you.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, had to tell Allie thank you and all that and try and set up some stuff for down the road real quick before she got off the line. But we're getting ready to continue rolling. Appreciate you being here. Stay with us. We've got a call from Rich, which came in during the interview. We'll play that, and we've got another call as well. So stay with us.
I want to dedicate this song to my granddaddy, Mr. David Benjamin Bryant. He used to run moonshine down in Monk's Corner right outside of Charleston. Got tired of getting shot at and decided he was going to move up and buy Possum Hollow where me and Brother Willie live today. This one goes out to you, Pop.
Yeah, welcome back into the show. Sorry about that introduction, that music. I don't typically play that song there. I thought it had a little more left in the – I thought it was going to go a little bit deeper into the song, but did not. Possum Holler Stomp if you know the D.B. Bryant Band. Anyway, I'm your host, Lawton Swan. Glad to be back with you here on the Clemson Hotline. Lots of people in the chat room, lots of stuff going on here in the show. I see Matthews made a comment. I got to get back and figure out what he said about that, so we're going to – obviously press for it, but fantastic stuff there by Allie Rogers. Of course, Miss South Carolina, Miss America, she was really great. I mean, if you didn't see it, I know it's not on YouTube, and I don't think you can go back and see everything. You can see her performance on YouTube. She was unbelievable, and really, I'm telling you, if it came down to looks alone, there was no doubt. It was an easy pick. But as you heard, the components that go into it, that's where it all came down to it, and Miss New York got the victory. I'm still shocked, I think, a little bit. I think many of you are as well, but we're going to send it out quickly to the phone lines here. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, this is Jason Ditchery from Columbia, South Carolina. I hung out with Mr. Clemson Tom last night and his counterpart. I was all oranged out, all up in Buffalo Wild Wings, man, doing the Chris Benoit and the People's Elbow. But anyway, I just got a little quick question. I was just wondering, if I was Mackenzie Alexander, and the Clemson coaches, have stopped by to see me twice in a week or two, especially with Dabo and Brent Venables coming in tonight, along with Mike Reed. I just wonder how, how that makes them feel. I'd probably want to chop my arm off, but come on, man, freaking let's go Tigers.
Yeah, I hear you, passionate there, and I think the thing you have to understand when you talk about Mackenzie Alexander is the fact that he has a brother, McEnroe Alexander, who is also being courted by some schools right now, not Clemson. He is a key guy that many people would like to see land. I think when you look at this recruiting class, one of the names I put out on Twitter the other day, who was going to be the surprise of this class and who would be the most important player in this class coming in this season, and that was a name that we continued to see come through Twitter, and we'll talk about some of those on Wednesday night, some of those tweets that we got back on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock when we got Tom Luganbill on the program with us, of course, ESPN's director of recruiting. And he does a fantastic job. Luganbill played at Georgia Tech, but he now lives in Charlotte and covers recruiting nationally for ESPN. He's going to be with us, and we're going to talk with him about some of those surprises. But one of the names that kept coming up from Clemson faithful, the big surprise, the one they hoped that it would be, there were some Robert Kimdichis thrown out there. You look at Ryan Carter being on campus this past weekend. That helped some people think maybe Swanee wasn't crazy when he came up with his little theory that things might not be as bad as expected in the Robert Kimdichis saga, and I think it's fair to label it that at this point. I wouldn't say that I'd go out on a limb and say, yeah, this is Robert Kimdichis coming, but I think the people that maybe had changed their minds completely start to realize that Ryan Carter's not as bad as people thought. They've seen the film on him. They think he's very good. And maybe that's a key and just a little push in the right direction, that maybe this whole deal with Robert Kondichi isn't over with yet. But back to Alexander, the thing that Clemson has going against them right now is really McEnroe, and I don't know why McEnroe seems to be the one right now who kind of wears the I hate to say wears the pants in this family, but it seems like McEnroe is being looked after almost by his brother Mackenzie, and because of that fact, they are looking towards schools where they haven't felt distant, where McEnroe has been a part of the recruiting, and I think that really is an issue that's bothered McEnroe. I think he's taking it personally when really he shouldn't, because ultimately your brother doesn't play for you. Your brother doesn't make you who you are. You have to be your own person. You have to separate yourself. If that means that he goes to Clemson and you go to some other school, Southern Miss or wherever, you still have the opportunity to be successful. I mean, I don't know about you, but even though I would want to play at the collegiate level with my brother, if the decision had to be made, okay, that I've got to go to a school and sit on the bench, or maybe I can go somewhere and play, and obviously you don't want to believe that in your heart, that you might be the lesser talented of the two, but the recruiting people have looked at it, and that's pretty clear to everybody. I think sometimes you have to make a decision for yourself. They are twins, David wants to know. Yes, they're twins, and obviously even being twins, there's going to be some natural gifts that people have, one being that Mackenzie is just a little bit better of a football player right now than McEnroe is. So we'll see how that develops. I think, though, clearly it would be a nice get for the Clemson Tigers if they could land him, because the secondary could definitely use some shoring up. And we've got another call that we want to play for you that came in during the break.
Yes, I was wanting to ask Lawton why the young linebacker, sophomore linebacker, is transferring to another school. This is Rich Simpson. Thank you.
Rich, thank you so much for your call, and I apologize. We had Allie on the line when you made that call, so we'll continue to move forward with that. But anybody else that wants to call in, 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Tweet to us throughout the week, hashtag TNTalk, all one word, hashtag TNTalk. That comes right to us. And you're talking about Rich Latique Townsend, and it's funny because when we were doing the show the other day, I thought about mentioning that there may be some attrition. I think you've always got attrition that occurs during the offseason. And if there was a player that I thought may leave the program, I wondered if it would be Latique Townsend, just because Townsend has never quite found his niche with this ball club. I mean, for everything that he brings as far as talent and speed and strength, I really think that he brings a little bit of a lack of discipline. I think he had some trouble with the playbook at times. You know, you can't stick somebody out there who's just who may put your defense in a perilous situation, because even though he has tremendous talent, he puts himself in a bad situation that leaves everybody else vulnerable. So Townsend, no real surprise there that he left. It's funny, though, that it happened, I think, so quickly, because I think so many people still felt like there was something there for him to offer. I think people still had a great feeling that he could have a good career at Clemson if he could just get everything together. But, you know, we've seen guys struggle. We've seen guys go through this before. And you have to make a decision, much like the Alexander kids, you have to make a decision that's best for you. And for Latique Townsend, if getting away from Clemson and going somewhere else and playing football is the best thing for him, then you've got to, you know, go with him on that. You can't shoot him down for believing that that's not the best move for him to stick around. I think that's clearly, when you're a player, you're trying to make the best choice for you. And for Clemson, sometimes, you know, these coaching staffs, they meet with these guys and say, hey, it doesn't look like things are going to pan out. You know, that's the other thing. Scholarships aren't a 4-year deal. It's a year-to-year thing. They're evaluated just like professional players are, and we might not like it that some players are asked or pushed out the door. But if Latique sees that maybe his playing time is not going to materialize and he wants to be on the field somewhere, he's got to do what he's got to do. But if he chooses not to stick around, that's on him. But I want you to stick around. Final segment of the show coming up right here on the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
And I'm proud. There's no mistake, no doubt about it. Excuse me if I sing a little loud.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that.
At TurboTax, we know your paycheck is more than a number.
It's juggling school and work.
It's paying my dues on the job.
And it's pulling all-nighters when I need to.
You work hard to earn your money, and we want to help you stretch every dollar. That's why TurboTax lets you file your simple federal return for free. It's free to prepare, print, e-file, and you can even chat with a tax expert. TurboTax, the power to keep what's yours. Get the federal free edition at TurboTax.com. Live tax help service is subject to availability, restrictions, and change without notice. See TurboTax.com for details.
It was the moment I realized I was about to lose my job.
I found myself searching for pills instead of just being with my family.
At that moment, I finally decided to get help from my addiction to opioids.
The prescription painkillers.
At turntohelpnow.com, you'll learn that opioid dependence is a real medical condition and that there are different ways to get help, including those in a private setting, without the need for daily visits.
That moment led me to turntohelpnow.com.
Make now your moment. Visit turntohelpnow.com today.
Hey, honey.
Hi, Dad.
What you drawing?
It's our house. That's you.
Oh.
Me.
Huh?
Mom and Josh.
Wow.
Playing ball.
You are becoming quite the artist.
When you're a kid, you don't know that home ownership builds communities, that owning a home contributes to higher self-esteem and better test scores. You just know that home is where you play, grow, and learn. The National Association of Realtors wants you to know that home ownership matters to our families, our neighborhoods, and our country. Learn more at houselogic.com/homeownership.
Extremely dry, itchy skin needs intensive relief that lasts. So get Gold Bond Intensive Healing Cream. With 2 dedicated medicines, it targets the underlying causes of itch and irritation, whether they be allergies, rashes, irritation, or just dry, chapped skin. And it has 7 moisturizers to provide relief that lasts and lasts. Gold Bond Intensive Healing Cream. Intensive healing for lasting itch relief. Use as directed.
Welcome back into the Clemson Hotline. About 3.5 minutes or so remaining in the show. I appreciate everybody being here. We've got a whole lot left in the program, and I'm probably going to have to carry some of this over to Wednesday night. So you don't want to miss that. Wednesday night, 9 o'clock, Tiger Net Talk presented by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty. Check them out online at crosscreektimber.com and crosscreekrealtyllc.com. I hope you'll go by their site and check them out. They're a big sponsor of the program, and I appreciate Steve and his entire team over there who have supported our program for oh so long. A couple of recruiting tidbits and notes here. Some new recruits in the fold at Clemson. Seth Ryan, Rex Ryan's son, oddly enough. TJ Green, Marcus Edmond, who's a flip from NC State, and finally Zach Riggs. You remember his dad, Jim Riggs, played at Clemson back in the 70s and 80s or so, somewhere right in there. I'm a little young to remember his dad playing. Some of you will be mad at me for that. Not that I don't know the exact years his dad played, but that I'm so young. See, that bothers some of you people. I know. But let me tell you what Zach Riggs did. Pretty cool way he committed. He actually gave Dabo Swinney back one of the all-in chips that Dabo Swinney has been giving out for so long since he became the head coach at Clemson. And as I told you before, we always try to line up the best guests for you. We do what we can, but unfortunately, Dabo Swinney, per the policy at the athletic department, does not do local radio interviews. I'm doing everything I can to teach them that, or to at least enlighten them that we're not local. We're worldwide. We bring it to troops in Korea, to people in Washington State, to everybody in the chat room live with us. So I like to think of us as a little bit bigger than just local radio. Couple of things here in the chat room, though, we got to get to. About a minute or so left. Lee says, dang, man, you get some awesome guests. Nuke, Miss America, or Miss USA runner-up, Luganville, big time. Thank you, Lee. Thank you for being here with us. RCSportscards.com says, no question. I've been listening to the podcast a couple of weeks. First night I'm live. Love it. Thanks for your love for Clemson. Thank you, RCSportscards.com. Thank you for that. And, that's how this all started. People ask me, where did the show begin? It was a product of not having anything that I could really listen to, and I wanted to find a way to continue to build things. We started with TigerNet Talk. We got invited to do Clemson Hotline by the folks at CRM Sports down in Alabama, and we've grown from there. And it's with you guys that have made the show better and better. Live people in the chat room. I hope you enjoy ClemsonSportsTalk.com, the way we have things laid out. Of course, we'll be back next Sunday night at 9 o'clock. And also Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, you can join us if you want to hear from Tom Luganville. We'll get his thoughts on the Clemson class, any surprises that Clemson may have. Are they still in the mix for Robert Kimdichie? What will Luganville say about that? We'll find out on Wednesday night. But again, I do thank all of you for being here with us, everybody in the chat room who took part with us, and of course, our guest, Miss South Carolina. I keep wanting to call her Miss America because she deserved it. But Allie Rogers, a great Clemson gal, was with us just a few minutes ago, and she was fantastic. But it's time for us to go, and as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!